Okay. So like I said, this is a free program, a free training program, and we will go over what's required, how to implement it, and how to make it benefit you. Since you already have to have it, you might as well have it benefit you. So before I do any training, whether it be free training or not free training, I want to ask or give you guys an opportunity to let me know what you expect out of this. What do you want from this? Why did you click on this free webinar? What's your goal for what's your outcome? If any of you would like to share, I would like to know that, because it would help me to meet that expectation. So if anyone would like to share, go ahead. You can raise your hand if that helps. Okay, so no, you guys are, what is your purpose for this? Joseph, would you like to share? Can you hear me okay, Joseph?
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me turn my mic up a little bit. But yeah, what's your reason for joining this training?
To educate myself through your training, to see about getting an effective, as you said, comprehensive IIPP plan for my organization.
Awesome. Well, you're going to get that today, man. That is my purpose for you, to get the maximum benefit from implementing an IIPP. Because if you got to do something, you might as well do it right. That's the philosophy we have at ROI Safety. The name of our company is Return on Investment. If you guys got that, that's what we do. We want you to benefit from these programs so that ultimately you're going to save lives. Ultimately, that's the goal. You're going to save some money too. And this is a California requirement. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And if there's any issues, you guys shoot me a message within the chat room. So everybody should see the screen. It should be maximized at this point. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody should see my introduction screen. Do you guys see it okay? Is it big or is it the small one?
The big one.
All right, that's what we're looking at. All right, man. So here we go. So injury, illness, and prevention program. That is what we are going to discuss today. We're going to talk about what you need to know and how to implement. And there's some very key factors that I want to camp out on. And I would love to get your guys' feedback. So chime in anytime. So basically, let me back up. My name is Jesse, because I saw some new people come in. I'm with ROI Safety Services. We're a full service environmental health and safety consulting firm. We are based in Southern California, but we service the entire state of California and beyond. Our purpose is to provide on-site, site-specific safety training. Okay, that's my purpose. That's why I started this company, to assist medium to small businesses with safety and environmental programs. The reason is I spent 25 years in the corporate world. We had tons of resources. There was no denying that. We had 5 people to do a job that only took 1 person, to be honest with you. That was working in the aerospace industry. We had tons of resources. But during my time there, I realized that other businesses that provided services to us didn't have these kinds of resources. So they oftentimes didn't even have a lockout tagout program, an IIPP, a forklift training program. They didn't have those things. They didn't even know what they were. So I recognized that, and I realized there was a big need. So I took my experience down to the level where you may not need to have a full-time safety person. Most people don't, to be honest. Most people don't. And that is what I'm here to provide for you, is how do we manage through these requirements? How do we take what these big, huge companies are doing, which have tons of resources, and make it our own and make it our site-specific program. That's my goal and intention for you guys to understand that. So what is an IIPP? Advantage of it, you need to do it. You might as well take advantage of it. Who needs to be the responsible person? How do we identify job hazards, inspections, training, accident investigations, and then communications and record keeping? These are all the key elements of an IIPP. And why is it? Why in the world do we need to implement this? Well, it is the law, guys. The bottom line, it's the law. It's no different than, driving without a license. I mean, it's an enforceable law. You're not going to have the sheriff come over and ask you why you're not enforcing the IIPP, but you will have OSHA. You will have an attorney who could sue you because you're not implementing these requirements. It's a requirement. You have to have an IIPP, and you have to have an effective one. So it's been around since 91. So it's been around a while, not a whole long time in the big scheme of things. And it is a Title 8 3203. You can look it up. It's on the Cal OSHA website. It needs to be site specific. So you have these elements of the IIPP that you have to document, and they need to be site specific. It's very similar to a ISO 9000 program, like I mentioned earlier, or an SOP, a standard operating procedure. What are you doing to mitigate safety issues? Who's responsible? What kind of training do you do? And it is a legal document, and it holds managers accountable. And here's the other key, guys. It holds managers and employees accountable, okay? That is how it's going to benefit you as a manager or a business owner. And it's a legal document. You need to have this. You can be subpoenaed. It can be subpoenaed. Cal OSHA, the first thing they ask for when they walk into your front door is, I need two things: your OSHA 300 log and your IIPP. That's what they want. Advantages: it outlines safety at your specific location. What kind of safety programs do you have? What do you need? What is required at your site? What do you do there? It reduces injuries. There is no doubt in my mind an IIPP program that's effective will mitigate injuries, okay? We're talking 0 injuries. So injuries are a huge burden on any business. If you have not experienced an injury, you are lucky. I've been doing this for a very long time. Small companies and injuries are devastating. They can put a company out of business if not managed appropriately. So we need to perceive this IIPP as a tool to help you have 0 injuries, not minimize them. We want 0 injuries. So this can help you do that. It's a tool. It will help you prioritize your safety concerns. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to look at your organization from top to bottom. I'm talking to the secretary or the person answering the phones, all the way to the janitor, to everything in between, to manufacturing, to salespeople. Your organization needs to be evaluated. So you need to identify your hazards, your risks in all areas. It sets the tone for the importance of safety across the board. Clearly defines everyone's roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities. I work with a lot of companies that have been around 60, 70 years in Southern California. There's a lot of them, a lot of old manufacturing companies supporting Boeing and Northrop Grumman. They've been around a long time. They do a lot of unique things for the aerospace industry. But most of them don't even have an IIPP. So they call me after they've been inspected by OSHA and cited by them. These fines can be significant. So the program that you 100% need to implement right away is your injury and illness prevention program. It's not just getting a program downloaded off Cal OSHA's website and putting your name in there. That is not going to work. It is not an effective program. So you need to follow what we're going to go through right now in order to get an effective program and to make it work. So step one is identify who is the responsible person, who is the boss. It's pretty much going to be the person writing the checks, the owner of the business. If your business is big enough and you can have a full-time safety person or a safety, quality, environmental person, whatever your organization allows you to do, that is the person responsible. Ultimately, it's going to be the owner of the business. You need to give them time and resources to manage this program, okay? And that's going to be the common denominator you're going to see through each of these requirements is resources. The manager must set a good example. You got to lead by example. You got to lead by example. I'll say that again. Employees are responsible for conducting themselves safely. This is a big difference in a lot of programs in that this emphasizes both employee and employer. So there's kind of a distinction, but it's kind of the same, that we both have to keep each other responsible to be our word in terms of this program. And you'll see what I mean by that. Here's the scary part, and it should be, okay? If you're an owner, if you're a manager, you should have some fear because this is no joke. I just Googled this 10 minutes ago. I Googled OSHA prison sentences across the country. And this came up. These were the top 4 issues came up. Former Massey Energy CEO sentenced to 1 year. He was the guy at that big mine safety accident. He got 1 year in jail. Does he do the jail time? He'll do jail time. They all will. It'll probably be at home. It'll probably be very low security, whatever they call it. But he will definitely do some time. Houston business owner sent to prison and fined. Here's another example. I think this guy was a business owner for a trucking company. Owner of a tanker company, prison for lying, OSHA violating DOT safety standards. Contractor gets 10 months in jail for a trench collapse death. So this was Googled just before I did this training. So it's happening, guys. People are going to jail for not implementing safety programs, for not being responsible. If you're a business owner, you're not only responsible for making sure you get the product to your customer, but you're also responsible for getting your people to work in a safe environment, okay? It's not just customer. It's your whole organization needs to be in compliance. So that's environmental, that's safety, and of course, it's your customer. I would not minimize that at all. The customer needs to get their product, and whatever that product is. Identify the job hazards. Determine potential risk at your job. You need to do a thorough evaluation. Who knows more about your company than you do? Okay, it's your business. So identifying the hazards shouldn't be that much of a challenge. But I do offer, if it is, and you're concerned or you don't have the time to do it, that's something you can either hire a consultant to do, which is typically the case, or recommendation, or you can have, which I do not recommend, you can have OSHA compliance come in. Now, OSHA compliance, or I believe it's OSHA consult is what they call them. They will come in, and they will come in for free. They will do an inspection, and they will give you all kinds of recommendations. Sounds great, sounds wonderful, but I do caution you. I've had multiple customers over the last couple of years contact me after OSHA consult came in and said, I think we screwed up. Now we have all these deadlines and we need to get all this stuff done. What do we do? And so I had to actually come in and help them get in compliance because they had OSHA consult come in. The worst case scenario is if OSHA consult finds something that is an engineering problem or a machine problem. We had a customer who had a press brake that was very old, out of compliance, and there's nothing he can do to fix it. It cost him $300,000 to get this thing fixed. And he had a deadline. So he had a deadline. If you were to hire a consultant to come in, you wouldn't have a deadline, but you would at least identify these problems, and you wouldn't be, there still would be urgency, but it wouldn't be OSHA. So that is the distinction between having a consultant come in and OSHA consult come in. So there's other things that OSHA consult can do. I'm not saying they're a bad free service, but there's risks involved. Okay. So identify the corrective actions, survey the workplace, look at all your equipment, look at what chemicals you're using. Do you have all the safety data sheets? Do you know the hazards of nitric acid or caustic soda or chlorine gas? Are there standards for chlorine gas or methylene chloride? Yes. Do you know them? You need to know them. It doesn't matter. Ignorance is no excuse for not being in compliance. Now, we hear this often. Small businesses, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. You got to stop right there if you're saying that. You will make time, or you can see the option of going to jail or getting fined heavily. So I'll be honest and upfront with you guys. You need to be responsible for your business. Okay. This day and age, you will be held accountable eventually. It's like taxes, right? You know, you got to pay taxes. You're like, you put it off. Eventually, you're going to have to pay taxes. This is what we hear so often. And this is why we do this free seminar, is because I want people to get responsible for their business. I'll give you the tools, put them into action, put them into play, get these tools we're going to give you, do the evaluation, implement an IIPP, do an audit, look at all the standards that may apply to your business. If you need help, get a consultant. Look at all your injuries that you've had over the years. Go back many, many years. Have you had any amputations? Have you had any strains and sprains? If you have, look at that data. Implement programs or training that will mitigate those hazards. For example, slips, trips, and falls are probably the leading cause for strains and sprains in the workplace. That's pretty much what we're dealing with day in and day out. And I like to do slips, trips, and fall training. Usually the first round of training I do for any of our clients is IIPP training, lockout, tagout training, HAZCOM training, slips, trips, and fall. We want to cover everything in that first visit so that we can make sure that we're covering the highest hazards that they're dealing with. So that's how we want to mitigate some of these hazards. So you can see, looking at your history, looking at your injuries, your near misses, you can request your injury data from your workers' comp company. They will give that to you. Talk to staff responsible at your job, or your frontline managers, whatever you call them, supervisors. Talk to them about, hey, what is your highest risk here? What kind of stuff do you deal with day in and day out? And then look at other areas that may have high risk. A simple thing like implementing a dock safety program can save you guys from a fatality. I had a client in Ontario. They took the time and implemented a super robust dock safety training program for all their new hires. Something so simple, dock safety training. Don't fall off the dock, right? It's not quite that simple, but they implemented a very robust program. A few months later, they had a fatality. Unfortunately, that person jumped off the rear of a truck that was moving out of the dock, and he missed the dock and he died. Now, OSHA came in, didn't find anything wrong with my client's program. It was very robust. It touched all the areas that they should have, dock safety, forklift, material handling, and they did a really good job. They trained that individual. They documented the training. They had a competent person do the training. That's another area, a competent person doing the training. So OSHA said, you know what, you guys didn't do anything wrong. We are not going to file any notice of intent or violation. So you guys are good. Now, the attorneys, on the other hand, went after them. And my guess is the attorney's going to get something from them. I don't know what, but they're not going to walk away empty-handed. It's probably not going to be much, to be honest, because they did a heck of a job. What are you going to get out of something that was thoroughly evaluated? The employer did everything they could to protect their people. And that's where I want you guys to be. And you can be there. You just got to put in the effort. identify the job hazards, do inspections. Something so simple as doing a walkthrough once a day is an inspection. You don't always need to document it, but you could document it at least once a month. I recommend that. Check for property and work practices that are being performed. Look at your people, watch your people, observe them, see what kind of support they need. Do they have personal protection equipment? Do they have gloves, safety glasses? Are they using proper lifting techniques? Do you guys have a safety committee? That's something that everybody should be doing. It's required. You should have some kind of safety committee. You should be meeting at least once a quarter. Look at trends. Look at injuries that have occurred in the past. If you are a furniture place, a manufacturer, you guys use nail guns. Nail guns are high hazard. That would be an area that I would automatically look at. If you're a warehouse and you're a DC, and that's all you guys do, drive forklifts, I would look at your forklift injuries or near misses. Training is, in my opinion, being that we are ROI Safety Services, we do training daily. That's what we do. Training is education. Education will cause employers to have tools to prevent injuries. So we give tools that will allow the employee to utilize in their work for you that will cause zero injuries. And that is our purpose. That is the purpose of training, no matter who does it, is to give tools, provide guidance, and go out and do it safely and follow these guidelines, okay? That's simply training, education, communicating. That should be a priority. Every month, there should be some kind of training being done. There is enough topics out there to easily fill up every single month of the year and more. We encourage and recommend that you do training at least once per month. If you're in the construction industry, you need to do it every 10 days. So training will help keep safety in the forefront, keep people in the game and focused on their job. Most training occurs on the job. So learning new processes, that's training. Document that. We love to do what's called job hazard analysis, and I'll get into that in a shortly. So accident investigations, if you have an accident, you need to investigate it immediately. You need to take action. You need to take pictures. You need to make sure that whatever occurred does not ever occur again. That is a reactive response to an injury or an accident investigation. That's reactive. My goal and my purpose for this company is to get companies like you guys to be in a proactive position. So what does that mean? That means looking at trends, looking at injury history, looking at near misses, and getting proactive by doing training, by putting processes in place that will prevent injuries. So that is my goal for every company to do. And it is 100% possible for everybody to implement this IIPP program and give you results immediately. So when you do, if you have an accident, like I said, accidents are 100% preventable. I've never been involved in an accident where it did not involve human behavior. I'll say that again. I have never been involved with a work-related accident that is not 100% human-related and preventable. All of them are. Communicating. Establish a system to communicate with your people effectively. That could be holding quarterly meetings, such as a safety committee meeting, doing monthly all hands deck kind of a meeting. A lot of companies do that. Maybe the first Monday of the month, everybody gets together. Hey, this is how we did with our production. This is how we did with quality. This is how we did with safety. And then we communicate those that information. And then we talk about a safety topic for that month. It could be something very simple like that. You can publish postings, videos. A big thing in the last couple of years are what's called learning management systems. LMSs are very popular these days. We have started creating LMS systems for small businesses just because it's so easy for them to put somebody in front of a computer and go over the requirements of that specific company, that specific group or training that they need for your company. It's not some generic Keller video. It is a site-specific training. So provide employees a way to communicate up, okay? Upwards. We want to get employees to communicate to managers, and managers to employees. And how do we do that? We have regular meetings. We have regular communications. So encourage everybody, everyone in your organization to communicate without any kind of fear or reprisal. This still exists today. I deal with it every now and then. It's still there. Safety committees are a wonderful tool. I love starting safety committees in organizations. The benefits are huge. It's something that it just gets everybody enrolled in safety. It really does. So I encourage everyone to have a safety committee. Posters, bulletins, newsletters, all of those things are good to post up. Unfortunately, I go into companies quite often and I see, these newsletters or posters from like 1981. And we want to keep information fresh. We want to communicate things regularly. I do suggest you look at your postings and you make sure that you update them every year or so. Right now is a good time. Everybody needs to have the 2022 poster. That's required in California. You need to have that safety poster wherever you buy it from, but that needs to be up. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. That's a $300 fine if you don't have it and OSHA walks in. So spend that $100 wherever you get them normally, HR, whatever, they'll have one for you. So I would recommend you do that now. Do it sooner rather than later. A safety suggestion box. I do like those, but most of the communications, I would encourage you to have that done through your safety committee, but safety suggestion boxes are pretty good. Another thing I like to do with organizations is have some kind of incentive program. So if somebody brings a safety issue to you, for example, let's say you guys are a warehouse, a DC, and one of your drivers says, "Hey, let's install a half dome mirror over here. It will reduce our, it'll increase our visibility around this corner and help keep everybody safe." Oh man, that's a great idea. We never thought about that. And you do it. It wouldn't be a bad idea to give that guy $100 or whatever, $50. I like doing that. It causes employees to get involved and enrolled in safety and look for opportunities to get in the game of safety, get enrolled and offer suggestions. That's what we want. The front line, your employees, are the ones who are going to have the most valuable safety suggestions because they're in the game. They're doing it day in and day out. They see the risk. So I would encourage you guys to implement some kind of incentive program. Urge everyone to get involved. And there's nothing like getting involved by giving them some kind of incentive. Lottery tickets are a good one. I'm not a big fan of gambling or anything, but lottery tickets seem to go over well with people when they make a suggestion. Give them, $20 in lottery tickets. I made that suggestion last week at a company that we had our second safety committee meeting, and it turned out two of the guys there were big lottery ticket, whatever players or users. And these guys were hardcore. They make some good money off doing lottery tickets. So apparently it's a big deal at that organization. So they embraced that. So I am not endorsing gambling in any way. So record keeping is essential to all aspects. So record keeping is a very, very important element of this training. So making sure that you guys have medical records, inspection records, training records. Guys, I do OSHA inspection audits all the time. And here's the bottom line. It didn't happen if you didn't document it. And if you didn't document it, it didn't happen, and you will get fined. So I would encourage you, being in a state or a position of reaction costs money. Okay, that's the bottom line. Being in a position of implementing this IIPP, implementing all the elements of the IIPP is going to put you in a position of power, of knowing your requirements, of being, here's the key word, responsible for your business. And that's where we want to be, is responsible for our business. I am going to implement this IIPP. It's just the right thing to do, and I got to do it. Why not make it an effective one? Why not have benefits? Why not create a place where you can have zero injuries, get your employees involved, hold people to their word and being accountable? So I highly encourage that you implement this IIPP. It's a living document. You just don't do it once. Oh, I didn't mention this. The most common thing that I find with IIPPs, it's so funny, is when I go do an audit or I go do a gap analysis, and that's just something I'll mention, I'll talk about in a little bit. But when I do a gap analysis, I ask just for what OSHA does. Exactly. Hey, can I see your OSHA 300 logs? They give them to me. Can I see your IIPP? And they give it to me. They take the, or blow the dust off it and give it to me. And it's so funny because every one of them say this. We here at so-and-so, the company is what the template says. And they very rarely do they put their own name in, other than the very first time. So at the title, they put, Joe's Machine Shop. And then everything thereafter that is the company. So they put their name in that IIPP, and then everything else after that is just generic, and it has no substance, guys. You got to make a site-specific IIPP. You got to do it. And OSHA knows all too well what these generic ones are doing. And most of the generic ones are from your insurance company. You can even get one off the Cal OSHA website. Now, the Cal OSHA website has some good resources. I use them. The gap with their resources is they don't have 25, 30 years of managing these programs. Okay. I do, consultants do. So it's a good idea to get some of the tools, but don't rely on them 100%. You still need to do the legwork. You still need to do a gap analysis. You still need to do a site inspection, training, safety committee. You got to do all these things. Now, that's where we come in with our experience. It's not going to be a huge burden. We know exactly what to do with each organization. So we offer or invite you to look at our services, which we'd be more than happy to help you with. So what did we give you today? What is an IIPP? We talked about what is it, the advantages of it, who's the boss, who's going to implement it, identifying hazards in your workplace. Only you guys can do that at your shop. Inspections, training, doing investigations and communications, and then, of course, record keeping. So we covered these elements on implementing an IIPP at your site. Now, I said I was going to talk about gap analysis. Here it is. A gap analysis is simply identifying the gaps at your job, at what you guys are doing at Joe's Machine Shop. Whatever you're doing, you need to know the hazards. So a gap analysis simply goes in. Somebody like myself or a consultant will go in, look at the OSHA standard, federal standard, local standards, and see where you guys are not meeting those requirements. Issue you a report with pictures, and here's the distinction, give you the tools to fix those gaps. And that's what we're all about, is helping you in your business to be 100% compliant, to have zero injuries, and make whatever you guys are making. That's the bottom line. Okay. It's like wearing a good shoe, right? If the shoe is good, you don't even need to mess with it, man. It's just, you don't even know it's on. But if a shoe's bad, it gets uncomfortable, and you gotta pay attention to it. Having an effective IIPP should be that good, solid shoe or boot, whatever you want to use, that works, that benefits you. And you don't even really need to worry about it too much because it's just going. It's just flowing. You got your IIPP in place. You're doing your training. You're doing your inspections. You're doing your communications, your record keeping. It's just flowing. It's just part of your business. And that concludes our training, guys. So I invite you to ask some questions. Give me some comments. Give me some feedback. Do you like this training? Do you want any more of this kind of training? Do you want other topics? I'd be more than happy to get your feedback because I'm here to support you in managing safety at your workplace. That's my mission for this company. So give me some feedback. I'm here.
Very thorough. And the information given. This is Joe from Decker Roofing.
Oh, hey, Joe.
How you doing?
Hey, we talked the other day.
Yes, via email we did.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, the information given today was very, very informative. Very, very professionally done. I appreciate it. It's a lot of information in a short period of time, but it is very, very needed. So I thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, man. I really am committed to causing, this to really impact our workplace because there's fatalities and injuries are just occurring every day and we don't hear much about it, but 6,000 people a year are dying on the job, man. That's just nuts. That's got to end.
Yes.
It's got to end. We don't see it all the time. We see all these crazy things that the news tells us about COVID, but we never look at like, okay, what's killing our workers?
Yeah.
We don't talk about that. We should. So yeah, thank you very much for your response. Anyone else? Dennis, Joseph, Yoshika, Andy, any questions? I'm here for you guys. The mic is yours if you want it. I can unmute you. All right. I am not getting any feedback from anybody, so I think I must have answered everybody's questions. I don't think that that's true. So I would love to get some feedback from you guys. Now I did bring up some controversial issues, especially with OSHA Consult. That's always one that sometimes I don't want to talk about, but I think I've seen it over the years and I just want people to be aware of that because I've seen some negative impact from that. So not bashing OSHA, I think they're needed, but we just need to be aware of everything in terms of their services. Okay, Andy, I'm new to the company and need a general overview. Okay, good. I think, Andy, you got it. If not, ask some questions. I'm here to help you guys. We are located, I don't think I said where we were located. We are in Southern California in Yorba Linda, but we service the entire state and country. We are up and down the state of California every single day. We go across the country, not every day, but we do service outside of here, Florida. We have quite a few customers out there. So we definitely aren't just focused on California, although we are experts in California. This is where we are. So any other training, if you would like to have some free training topics outside of the one we just talked about, let me know. I am open to implementing more of these types of things. I love doing them. And of course, we will offer them at no cost. I would like to get some feedback from you guys. And if you're not comfortable doing it right now, I'm going to send you a survey. I'd love to get some feedback from you. The more feedback I get, the better this training can be for you guys. And that's my goal, is to make sure that you guys are getting what you need to know, right? That's what we want to focus on with our services for you guys. So I'm going to send everybody a survey. And if you could fill that out and give me some feedback, that would be sweet. I appreciate your time. I think every one of you guys all have a Merry Christmas. And if you have any questions for me, I would encourage you to give me a call. Here is my cell number. I'll even give you my cell number right here if you can see it. You can call me anytime. That is my personal cell number. I'm be more than happy to help you and assist you at your workplace on any topic, but I'm here for you guys and I appreciate your time. You guys have a Merry Christmas. And I did record this. So if you guys would like to see it again, let me know.